So, hello and welcome. I hope you had a lovely Easter break. And today, I want to talk to you about something that is very dear to my heart. You may feel like you're not a born leader and you really don't want to be in the spotlight. However, at some point in life, leadership beckons and you either heed the call or you refuse the call. And today it's all about how do you courageously heed the call to lead. So we will be talking about that today. Welcome, my name is Patience Ogunbona, and you're watching the Visionary Introverted Woman show. I am also known as the Visionary Introverted Woman. As a multi-passionate woman, I bring you talks and rich conversations with guests on topics that I believe will help you to leverage your introverted strengths so that you can achieve the desires that you want, providing you with actionable steps and strategies to thrive both in life, business, career, and leadership. Basically, on this show, my desire and my passion is to bring you inspiration so that you can create impactful presence wherever you are, be it online or offline, in the office, build your confidence to position yourself as an authority in your marketplace, wherever that marketplace is. And as a result of that, you thrive and you profit from using your gifts and your talents. If you have a question or a topic that you would love me to cover on this show, I will be excited to do that. Just send me a message. And also, if it's a show that resonates with you and you love to be a guest on it, let me know as well. And if there is a fit and an alignment, we shall have a conversation, rich conversations that my audience will appreciate. So today, like I said, we'll be talking about courage to lead. And I'm looking forward to engaging with as many of you as possible that come online to join me on this live session. So please feel free to make comments. Feel free to share this link with your friends and colleagues and those that you know would benefit from this topic. Courage to lead. And also, just to warn you, I'll probably be looking at notes because it's important to me that I get some points across with this topic that I find very exciting and interesting. And I know a lot of people in the areas where I have worked would wonder, okay, what does leadership and introversion have to do together? I believe that everybody needs to develop leadership skills. And here's why. At some point, you will arrive at a need to lead. It's something that comes upon you. For fiercely independent people and introverts who shun the spotlight, at that point, it gets uncomfortable and you begin to shrink because now that's the next level for you. That's the next thing you need to be doing. And because you are not comfortable or you don't know what to do, you shrink back like last week's topic where we were talking about hiding and seeking, right? We were saying that people are hiding, yet they are seeking to create that impact and influence in the world. That's exactly what it is. So, what also happens is as you grow in whether your career, in life, or in business, you realize that you develop a circle of influence, some a terminology that came across from Steve Covey, who wrote the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talks about a circle of concern. These are things you have concern about, but you can't do anything about. They're out of your control. But as you get as you mature and you develop your skills and you develop yourself and you develop personally and grow, you realize that you create that circle of influence. And as a result of those activities, you want to exercise influence, you want to make a difference, you want to get results in those areas because you know you can. So the thing is there is what is called the push versus the pull. So the push will now come from that circle of influence, that environment. You see things, you really want to make a change, you want to make a difference. You don't want to leave them the same. But then you don't see yourself as a leader, you don't feel like you have the authority. Then on the other hand, that then links to the push, the pull within, from within your potential. When you talk of the hierarchy of need, we get to that point where we seek esteem, we seek recognition, we seek to really make a difference. And that is where we'll find our fulfillment. Once you get to that level, the push is coming from within. It's that next level for you to achieve your potential. Let me share for myself the story of how this came about for me, why I love leadership so much, why I feel like for me, developing leadership skills all my life or being part of the Maxwell Leadership Executive Program is something that I'm passionate about and I've kept myself in because I realize that it can make a difference. So, despite some of you might not know, for me, I am the first of 8 children. I might have said this in several stories. So it's like the first level that many of us fall into is that level of positional leadership, where you feel where you are thrown into a leadership position. And some of us who come from Africa, who are the firstborn, as they say, suddenly you find yourself, you are regarded as a leader, whether you like it or not, whether you feel like you were born with those capabilities and charisma as a leader. And for people like me, being introverted, wanting my own space, wanting not to be in that forefront growing up, I really felt like that position was pushed on me. And guess what? I have 7 siblings. So eight that my mother had in total. And even more so, when I lost my mom, I even had to accelerate to another level of leadership. That's a story for another day. So I didn't feel like that position gave me any authority, gave me leadership capabilities at all. Because you don't think about it as leadership, you just think about it as I have responsibility that is pushed on me by so many things, by my birthright, obviously, and you have no choice in the African culture. You just have to deliver. But then you have when I came to England, all I wanted to do again was just work, you know, no ambition to lead at all. Basically, I just wanted to earn a living, make a lot of money, support my family, live a good life. And again, one of the things that I remember then was I really didn't want to do it working for anybody, but I found myself without mentors and in a situation where I went to work rather than entrepreneurship because that was a safer way. And that's the story for another day. So, what was the pivotal moment then for me that came and changed everything? So, feel free to make comments. Feel free to let me know if you resonate with this story that I'm sharing, because there's a pivotal moment that comes in our lives that says you cannot remain at this level anymore. You've got to move forward, you've got to step up. And that stepping up is the first sign of the fact that you are having to move into a position to lead. You've got to build the courage to lead. So for me, that came from within. The first thing was seeing my children growing up in an environment where I didn't grow up. So my experience wasn't as positive either. Then I realized they were experiencing negative things too, like bullying, like discrimination, and also that they needed a role model to navigate the challenges of being in a different environment, of being different. So I had to empower them because I wanted them to feel secure, to feel loved, to feel confident, and able to face challenges head on. And you're thinking, is that leadership? As John Maxwell says, the basic definition of leadership is influence. And you influence people every day by your actions, by what you say, by what you do, by what you don't do. If you're in a position of authority, which I found myself this time by choice because I chose to have kids. So these children now looking up to me meant that I had to start thinking at an elevated level. The second push actually came this time, and I'm talking about push deliberately because these are external things that then leads to the pull within because you have visions, you have goals, you have things you want to achieve. So for me, I started work, and as I got on with the work, I felt like I wanted to get to the next level, to do more and access things and stretch and fulfill my potential. Basically, initially it was all about earning more, right? So I really also then began to notice that I didn't want to stand back and just see things. At the time at my workplace, I wasn't really happy with how people, including myself, were being treated, how we were being developed, and the barriers that were all in front of us, and the challenges we were facing. So I wasn't really, I had a choice either to just go with the flow or see what I can do to make a difference. That became the pull from within. So when you have a push from external circumstances, that's you have an extrinsic motivation to do stuff. And extroverts tend to have more of that than introverts. But then introverts tend to dwell more on their intrinsic, that intrinsic pull, pull from within, that intrinsic motivation. So my motivation came from really I saw that I could push myself, develop myself in ways that I could then make a difference. So making a difference became the pull towards leadership. And I know some of you watching now can resonate with that. Making a difference is why uh, you aspire to become an entrepreneur or you are currently an entrepreneur. Making a difference is why you want that position, to move to that management level. And this can be both as something that is fiery in the heart of either an extrovert or an introvert. It doesn't matter who. But some people, they have the natural charisma to just flow into it. And some of us all of us need to develop to different levels. Some people just have that natural charisma to charm people. And when I talk about natural charisma, we'll come to that. And even extroverts or introvert, whoever you are, you will have some form of charisma. Some of us are high eyes and high eye on the disc scale. Hi, MEC. Thanks for joining me. And thanks for your comments, really, on LinkedIn. So basically, you have that pull within you to be more, do more, and have more. The barrier and the bridge to all of that being effective is actually leadership. Let me share why. So let's define leadership. I found some definitions. I've already given you one. The first one is leadership is influence. And I shared with you how my children were part of the catalyst for me realizing that I needed to develop self-leadership skills, but also develop skills that would let me impact my environment or the environment in which they were growing up, standing up and serving them courageously in a way that enabled and empowered them to live their own lives with confidence. So basically, I found two other definitions of leadership that I really like. So the first one, leadership is the ability of an individual or group of individuals to influence and guide followers or other members of an organization. So this is by Tech Target. I like that. The second one is leadership is a process of social influence, being a guide for others, help them maximize their potential to achieve, uh, uh, maximize the efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. And this was I found this definition from Forbes. And I love these definitions because they emphasize certain things. You might not see yourself as a leader, but do you see yourself as somebody who wants to have some kind of social influence? So that's one key thing that I like about this definition. The other one is, do you see yourself as somebody who wants to be a guide for others? Now, that desire to guide others, and when you want to guide others, is because you want to help them maximize their potential. That's another part of the definition that I like. And the final definition, all of us are heading somewhere. We have a vision and we set goals so that we reach that vision. So part of what leadership is all about is helping to achieve those goals. And I know that many of you watching right now or that will watch later in the replay, um, you aspire to all these things. So whether or not you are in a position as an exec, a position as a C-suite, a position as a manager, a position as a team leader, whatever position you find yourself, recognize that some of these desires lie within you and are pulling you towards the direction. So what I want to share with you today is you can courageously step into a place of leadership. The thing is, every time I found myself doing something, I'm this kind of person that would say, who can I add value to and help them do the same? So it became like a pull from within, a pull from within that I couldn't resist. And at the time, I didn't see it as leadership, but gradually, especially in 2020, I woke up to the reality when I decided to niche down and start working with introverted women. The key thing for me there was, one of the things that was missing on my journey up till then was how I wasn't using my lived experience to make a difference to other people. And I thought, wow, there's so much in my lived experience, so much that I can bring from my strengths. Now I think being an introvert, helping other introverts who are yet to come here to this space where I am, of the awareness of their strengths and how they can live and thrive in a extroverted world. Extroverts are majority in the world, whether we like it or not. It is what it is. It's like 50 over 60 to 40%, something like that, so, or more or less that kind of equation. So how do you begin to really develop courageous leadership or step up to courageously lead? These are some of the things I really want to share with you, my perspective on it, what I call courageous leadership. The first thing to remember is you inspire. When you find yourself in front or in charge, you don't automatically gain authority to lead people. The position offers you an opportunity. So what you do with the opportunity, now many of us, that is why they say, okay, you have to be visible on social media. Why are you being visible? To what end? I asked that question last week. And the reason is quite simple. You want to inspire people towards action, and you want to serve people with your products, with your insights, with your knowledge. And we see many thought leaders. That's why it's called thought leadership. They share their insights. There is no, technically, when you look at it, there's no end to personal development, but personal development that you are just developing yourself and not having that external way of expanding your knowledge to other people can create, like we have eating food, can create obesity of knowledge that has nowhere to go. And you don't use it, you lose it. So people get to follow you because you express thought leadership and you inspire them as a result. So they start to use your words to move towards action. So I'm hoping that people can use my words today to move towards action. But beyond that, then you move on to a space, whether you're at work, whether you're online. If you're given the position of manager, you might have delivered all your capabilities, all your technical capabilities to that point where, you've done great work, you've inspired a lot of people, and you've personally been responsible for some of the great results that your company has had. So you are then made a manager. Then comes the challenge, because now, as a manager, as somebody who manages, whether you're managing tasks, people will be doing those tasks. So the next thing is you move to that next level of seeing yourself as a leader. You start to think of how you support people. So the next level is to support, basically. And this can be anything from hand holding to just giving tips, to just giving advice, to just giving some guiding principles. And how you do this, you serve. And this is where you begin to try to build authority within people's lives. To do this, you're building relationships. That's where the relationship building kicks in. You're moving from an inspirer to somebody who is now building relationships either with your audience or with people around you that you want to inspire even more to action this time. But here's the thing: if you're someone who is a loner or very introverted, um, or say empathetic without being assertive, then your challenge would be, how do you sustain constantly just supporting people, giving and giving and giving? How do you do that? And sometimes when you don't have boundaries, you suffer from burnout. So, how do you move to that next level? So, the next level, obviously, or perhaps not obvious to many, but looking at what I have, worked through, is to direct people. You know, get to that level. Whether you're a manager, whether you're a lead, whether you class yourself as middle manager, senior manager, these steps are necessary for anybody who is courageously, really intentionally choosing to lead, because where is positional leadership is just the lowest level, and that can instill authority that does not impact anybody. So when you now decide intentionally to lead, these steps you need to be courageous about, and that's you direct. You may inspire and support them, people, but now then you need them to stand on their own 2 feet and begin to do things. That takes the weight off your shoulder. Have you heard of that phrase of the monkey on the shoulder? And there is the part where you transfer the monkey to somebody, because if they are not well uh, provided with the resources to do it, the monkey comes back on you and you find yourself again overwhelmed. So you need to have the tools that will help you to direct appropriately, answer questions, provide time to be able to direct, provide times to be able to provide explanations. But guess what? If you're firstly independent, you will kind of move back into, oh, I'll just get it done myself rather than spend the time to direct people. I don't know, you might be able to resonate with that. Yes, exactly. I believe attitude is everything, according to Jeff Keller. I love that. Attitude is definitely everything. And also character. One of the things John Maxwell talks about is character. And these are all courageous leadership focuses on you building the characters and the characteristics of a great leader. That's what you do. So, and a great leader first starts on their journey, moving through these stages that I'm talking about. And you direct people, but you direct them effectively so that they begin to kind of um, take on responsibility. And for you to direct effectively, people give you permission to do so. So I'll give you an example. John Maxwell always uses this phrase: if you think you're leading, go and try and direct someone's dog or someone's kids and see how effectively that goes. Because even sometimes parents struggle. And so sometimes with directing, with leadership, the next level is being able to be given permission. It can be real permission where it's given and you can see. It can be kind of subtle behind the scenes where people rebel. They don't do what you ask them to do. They're not following the directions. But when they are not doing that, it's not because they don't want to all the time. Some people don't want to, but some people don't know how to. And when you are in that forefront and you've stepped up to courageously lead, the next step, I believe, and many organizations don't invest in this, is to provide that coaching skills to your managers, provide that coaching skills to your team leaders, provide coaching skills to people in authority. Because why? Coaching skills will actually ease the load of directing, of supporting, of inspiring, because now you step into that space of helping people to discover their hidden potential, which means they by themselves will figure out ways from within and find their capabilities to increase their performance, increase their productivity. So the whole idea at this level is you are helping them to have that goal achievement, not just goal setting, not just you setting the goals, monitoring, but them really being driven from within to have something that they understand is what pulls them towards wanting to achieve the goals in line with the organization's goals as well. So that's what you start doing. And even if you're a one man business, think about it. At some point, you will grow to the point where you need to start directing freelancers or directing people to support you so that your growth can be sustained. You then also need to build a team. These things apply whether you are one man business trying to grow, as I find myself doing, or whether you are an organization, no matter how big, because in my previous life in corporate, I worked in internal audit. And one of the things that I kept seeing that was mistake is people focused on the performance and the processes before they focused on people. And the truth about it is, this is where the ball is dropped and dropped wrong. Because if you think about it, the family is also like a small unit of what happens in society. If you focus only on your children's performance without loving them, if you give them dictations and dictate to them, it doesn't always make them succeed. So you can move from actually directing to dictating, instead of, you dictate because you don't have that authority, so you become very like a tyrant, very dictatorial, because you haven't built relationships under the support level that allows you and gives you permission to direct effectively. So the next phase after this is obviously, after people are being coached, they might have been coached and they're doing things their own way, or within an organization, within that space, you want to bring people to a space where things are done in a uniform manner. That's where mentoring comes in. You want people to shadow you, you want people to see how you do it, you want to mentor them through the process that works. You've captured what works, and you want to mentor them through that process. And once you've done that, the bigger phase is then you delegate. You delegate and you hands off. You don't sleep with one eye open. You sleep with both eyes open, right? Yeah. So, like Yemisi says, your character, your attitude um, leads to what people will follow. So, my question to you is, are you in that space of inspiring people? At some point, you want to move to effectively supporting people, and then you would feel like you want to give them direct directions so that you can hands off more to them and have less challenges with the things that you want to do, and be able to build capacity to do more, be more, have more. It's at that directing point that you are building that capacity, and then you coach so that even more is achieved with independence, and you mentor, and then you delegate. And delegation that is effective is one, like I said, where you will identify and give people what to do based on their strengths, which you have worked and nurtured. So looking at leadership, when I look at it, it's not an easy ride at all. It can be challenging. That's why courage is important. So I ask you, where are you now? If I go back a little bit to my own story, the pull from within became stronger and stronger for me as the years went on, and even up till now, like I told you in 2020. By the end of 2020, I found myself doing a leadership, 16 weeks leadership course. Why? Because I realized now I was seeing the challenges, I was seeing some of the things that I needed to put in place, the gaps in my own mindset, in my own attitude, in my own character to take people to that next level. So one of the things I noticed all throughout the progress that I made, even in the corporate world, is everywhere I go, I set up induction processes. you know, I look at it and I say, how do people, when they come here, hit the ground running and have the information they need? So I always would set up an induction process. I would belong to the committee that does development. It's something I noticed about myself. And especially, I then started to work in one of my places of work to create lean processes. How do you make life easier? How do you create ease in whatever happens? And then I started setting up in my private life, I started looking at ways of helping people achieve life work balance, something that I was doing by myself. I started, so the pool began to make me do these things that I thought sometimes, why are you doing this, patience? I would ask myself, why don't you just lie down? On a Saturday, I'll be out there, I will hire a fitness coach and get the ladies together, and we'll be doing all these things. This was just something that I felt, how do I grow? And grow by helping others grow. As Zig Ziglar says in his book, See You at the Top, he says, you will get what you want when you help others get what they want. I'm paraphrasing now, maybe it's more. So then I gradually as you can imagine, this led me to look in at how do I do more, be more, have more, and I set up my own coaching business. It took me a few years to get there because that's something I wanted to do, where I wanted to coach for starters, then train, then speak, and I got to do that. And the next phase was then looking at the tribe. So Seth Godin talks about at some point you are pushed to consider a tribe you belong to. Because then when we talked about impact and presence, we're talking about what's common in tribes. In Africa, when you say a tribe, actually it's used sometimes interchangeably with language. So my tribe is Yoruba, my tribe is Igbo, is basically saying my language and my culture is this. So that's what a tribe is described as. And when you have organizations, you are actually creating mini tribes in departments, mini tribes in different places. That's what you're doing, but you don't realize, right? So there's a common language, there's a common culture, and all have to streamline to one apex, which is the main culture of the organization. It's not easy. It takes courage and intentionality. So what therefore is rounding off here is basically courageous leadership. Let me just define that. Is basically is is what every employee hopes for and every employee needs, really, and is people really truly want and deserve to be led well. That's one of the things I got an insight to from John Maxwell. And if you look at the countries and the things that are happening in our world today, if you look at an example of courageous leadership, Zelensky, who is Ukraine at the moment, is showing us what that can look like. A courageous leader, it says here, guides their people without stamping out creativity. They lead by example and they stand at the helm of the company, giving everyone behind them confidence to do their jobs to the best of their ability. That's the definition by WeWork. So when you think about courageous leadership, you realize that we see it in that example. We see it even during the beginning of the pandemic, where they said New Zealand was the first to shut all borders down and start following the rules and start really giving everyone confidence. When you come out, you step out to the streets, you start talking to your people, you are facing your own fears, and people then decide to face their fears. So what are some of those qualities that you can build as you, whether you don't see yourself as a born leader, anybody can build those qualities. And that is, for me, one of the truths I bear in my mind, that I don't have to have a position to make a difference, and I don't have to have a position to want to lead and to lead well, and to find a tribe that needs me, that is looking for what I have to offer, and I am willing and able, developing myself to provide that. So what are some of the qualities? In my view, one of the first qualities is to love. Basically loving the people that loving is about unconditional, inclusive, and empathic. Being unconditional, inclusive, and empathic. This is how I see it. So basically, love, which some people feel like it's taboo, to use the word love in the workplace, but love works, and love, they say, makes the world go round. Yeah. So when you think about work and it's devoid of love and of passion, problems start. So love that can be built unconditionally, that can be inclusive, that can be empathic. Another quality that a courageous leader will want to aspire to, obviously, is honesty. This includes authenticity, vulnerability, and constructive feedback. One of the things from the Bible that I love is when it talks about feedback, it says speaking the truth in love. So constructive feedback is when you speak the truth in love. Sometimes it's tough love. So, but all the time is speaking it in love for the betterments of somebody, not for the pulling down. And so honesty can be towards yourself, being authentic, um, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to express your own fears. That's one of the things I learned with the leadership training that I did, like I said, in 2020, was that element of vulnerability, how you apply that in the workplace. Then trust, and trust swings both ways, basically. You trust, and the people trust you. Yeah. And so people trust you and learn, and they let go, and you let go and allow them to thrive in the environment. Confidence in your own capabilities, because you are developing them, you are stretching them, but building an environment where people can grow and stretch, what we call in the Maxwell leadership team the growth environment. A growth environment allows creativity, ownership, responsibility to flourish. And this means that people get to innovate. And when they can innovate, they accomplish their own goals, but they expand the capabilities of your organization, your little business, things like that. And you have communication. You have the ability to work on communicating different personalities, different people, how they take in information. You are courageous enough to say, I'm willing to do what it takes so that everybody can come on board, everybody can get an understanding of what is happening. And you respect. Basically, respect is usually earned and defined as a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, and achievements. Again, this brings to bear character. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we see we talk about constructive feedback. Yeah, so a courageous leader will look at all these things as steps and ladders that you need to build. Love, you need to build honesty, you need to build trust, confidence, communication, and earn respect. So you in African culture, sometimes we say, "Oh, people don't bother to earn respect; they just want you to respect them, without earning it, even though they are not living as role models." But part of the challenge, you hear people say, "Oh well, I'm just doing my business." Some celebrities will say, "I'm not trying to be a role model here. I'm just doing my business." But by virtue of being out there, being seen by people, you decide as a to take up courageous leadership, where you put yourself under that sense of responsibility to do the right thing and to show the right example. Some of the things we experience with our current leaders, that's not happening. These things just mean that organizations, there is research to show um, that organizations that focus on things like trust, things like honesty, and they develop and grow rapidly and achieve the goals that they set for themselves and the employees. So that's in a nutshell what I just wanted to share with you about leadership. Whether like myself you're introverted, I realized that I was shrinking back because I thought I don't have the charisma. I don't talk with authority and shout very loud. But authority is built from presence. you know when you talk about how you impact and influence, that's where authority comes from. People then give you permission, you build the right relationships. Nobody is born with any of these to the level that it needs to be attained. For success, you have to develop it, and you have to do that by courage. So for me, my keyword this year is courage. So you find that a lot of things I'll be talking about on this show, the theme will be courage, 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 courage. So here's the definition I have. Here are some quotes that I love with regards to courage. As we come to the end, I always leave you with nice quotes. And I want to thank one of my participants, those of you who have joined me, who I can't see right now, and especially Yemisi for your comments, for your interactions. It's been great. And I think one of these days we need to come on board together and have rich conversations. So I want to celebrate those of you. And once you watch this, feel free to share this with those that you know will benefit and gain a lot of insights from it. Feel free to get in touch with me if you would like to get support and know more about how to develop your courageous leadership capabilities and skills. My business is CPD accredited, which means that I create programs and courses where you can have certificates when you attend them, that will show that you have developed yourself and recognized across the world. So get in touch if you want to do that. So I want to leave you with some quotes here. And the first one is, courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it is easier. We do not have to become heroes overnight, just a step at a time, meeting each thing that comes up, seeing it not as dreadful as it appeared, discovering we have the strength to stare it down. And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. I love a lot of quotes that she shares. And the other one, I wouldn't fail to add my mentor, John C. Maxwell, who says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So you realize that to be able to do this, you need a lot of courage and you need to be out there presenting yourself, stepping up, stepping out to serve. Not easy. And at the end of the day, another definition and way of looking at leadership is service to another, to uplift them so that when you are at the top of the apex, you didn't go there alone. You carried people along with you who are able to support you there. So that is the key thing. If you want some resources, you can go to my website, www.patienceogunbona.com. Currently, I have a free mini course for you there on how to achieve impactful presence so that you can attract your dream clients. And this can be useful for anyone who is online or offline and wants to create impactful presence. So that's it from me today for the show. I always want to remind you about a lot of things that you might struggle with, a lot of goals that you might not be able to achieve at this point, to let you know that impossible is an opinion. And sometimes it can be your own opinion for the reality that you face at the moment. But feel free to disagree. Feel free to talk back to your limiting beliefs and carve out your own pathway to success, some of which I've shared today. If you want to be a leader, go ahead and be a leader. Yeah. So share this with friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I will put so that you can get a replay of this and watch it at your convenience. Until next time, when you can join me again, I've been your host, Patience Ogumbono, the visionary introverted woman saying, get on and bloom, shine, and be uplifted. Take care and God bless.